All right, so this video is for an 06, so probably, I forget it, it's probably 09 to, or 05 to 09 F-150. If you've had intermittent problems with the air conditioner, like I was having, okay, let me describe my problem. I would turn on the air conditioner and it would run. It would blow cold air. It would blow for a while and then it would stop, right? It would just quit blowing cold air. And what I would do is I would go and take a look and the compressor would be stopped. So the first thing I thought, right, now here's the disclaimer. I'm no mechanic. I don't claim to be. Like, I change my own oil. That's about it. But I know, I kind of know how the air conditioner works, right? That piece right there, that thing's got to spin. When the engine's going, that's the compressor. That piece right there, that thing's got to spin. And when that thing's not spinning, then the air conditioner's not on. And so I took it to my mechanic. And let me tell you, I got a mechanic I trust. Man, I can't tell you how much I trust that guy. He's worked on all my cars. I've got a couple of kids with cars. He works on their vehicles. I trust that dude. I trust his shop. And he took it in and said, I don't know what the problem is. It seems to be blowing cold air. So he looked at the Freon and said, oh, looks like you're a little low, nothing bad. But so he replaced some valves and the high pressure and the low pressure, and it seemed to fix it for a while. But then it started happening again, right? And what would happen? I was on a trip from Amarillo to New Mexico, and about every 50 miles it'd be blowing, cold air, and all of a sudden it would just stop. And I would get out and the air conditioner would be on, and I had this broom handle, a little short broom handle in my truck, in the bed of my truck. And I would take it, and while the engine was running, right, I don't recommend this, but it was 100 degrees that day, and I was desperate. So I took that broomstick, and I would touch that compressor, the front of that compressor, that pulley, and it would start up again. And it would go for about 50 miles, 40 miles, 60 miles. It was always different. And then all of a sudden it would start blowing hot air again. And talked to my mechanic friend. He said, oh, maybe you need a new compressor. Maybe you need a new, the part that goes on the front, like the pulley, And so again, I'm not a mechanic, right? And I don't claim to be. I'm a guy that likes to solve problems, and I'm kind of cheap. So I looked and I looked and I looked, and they say that the gap between the front of this, see if I can even find it for you. Yeah. Now, it's hard to see, right? The gap is right there by that light, where the sun's peeking through. They say the gap right there should be the size of a credit card. Well, mine was about the size of 3 credit cards. And I think, now this is, again, my non-mechanic. And if you're a mechanic, chime in. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. It was way too big of a gap. And so what I read was, man, the magnet has a hard time pulling that thing down if the gap is too big. So to fix it, and again, this is me just solving a problem in my own vehicle. I don't recommend this. If you're not supposed to do it, then you're not supposed to do it. But so far, I've driven this to Colorado and back, and I've driven it all over the place, and it's really seemed to fix my problem. So what I did was I took off that bolt. I think it's I want to say either an 8 or a 10 millimeter bolt, and I had to put a screwdriver where round things were to hold it, and then I backed it off. And inside of there, I just pulled it off. Right, that's not under tension. I didn't pull the pulley off. I just pulled the front of it off, that front plate. And there's a spacer there, and I pulled out that spacer. Okay, they say sometimes that plate gets a little, you know, convex, so that the edges doesn't. The edges. I also cleaned all the stuff off of it. Right, it's a bunch of road gunk and junk. I cleaned all that off. I pulled the. I got a pick, and I pulled that spacer out. It was like a little washer, and I put it back on. And when I put it back on, the gap right there was about the size of a credit card. And you can read online. I think it's something like 24, 25 100ths or something like that. I put it back on, used the driver, you know, the nut driver, and put a screwdriver back there and tightened it down. I didn't over tighten it. I have a tendency to do that sometimes. Didn't over tighten it. I just put it down there, and it worked. Right, so that's the issue. If you have an intermittent air conditioning that you can take and fix by pushing that front plate in, it might not be your compressor. It might not be the pulley on it. It might be that the space is too big. So, like I said, if you're a mechanic and you think I'm wrong, tell me. But it's worked for me, and it's worked for me for a couple of 1,000 miles, so I thought I'd make this video. And if you're having the same problem and you want a cheap fix like I did, I hope this works for you. Thanks.